All right, is this thing on? We are live here on the channel. Good morning, everybody. It is me, Chavez, and I am back with some live player prop talk. Prize picks, better fantasy, underdog. There's tons of pick'em sites out there, but those are the ones that I play on. But whatever you play on, throw it in the chat. We'll be digging into some player props today. Been a really rough month. July has just had its way with me. I don't know about y'all. Hopefully your month has been a lot better than mine, but July has been rough. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about July. July has been shitty. So hopefully your July is a lot better than mine. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to go over some slips, build out a slip maybe, definitely dig into some player props here. We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to use a resource that I have been using here and there, but it has been one of the more reliable resources aside from props.cash. But we're going to be using the Odds Jam Fantasy Optimizer today to find value in the market. If you've been following this channel, you remember the early videos when I was working with Odds Jam in terms of creating content around the optimizer, but it's been a while. But I wanted to bring it back into play because of just the value it provides and what it actually covers in terms of sports. So especially during slow times like this, no NFL, no NBA. Esports is a big thing, tennis is a big thing, golf is a big thing. So finding something to help you identify value across all sports is pretty important. I think it's pretty important. Let's get on with this. As we start off every live stream, #blessed. I'm not a big blessed person. I don't believe everything is a blessing. I think some things are just things. But there are other things that are a blessing. Waking up sometimes can be a blessing, especially when you factor in that 10% of the US population does not get to do that. They die in their sleep and never wake up. So you woke up. #blessed. I think that's a pretty good thing right there. Couldn't be better than what can be better than waking up? Maybe playing on better fantasy. Man, that transition was nice. First time deposit match up to 250 on Betr. I love the QR code right here. I don't know if all pick'em sites are doing the QR code, but Betr makes it very, very easy to access your QR code. So if you already have a Betr account, you should use your QR code to help you build up some Betr bucks. But first time deposit match up to 250. Also, when you refer people, you get a little something for it as well. So everybody wins on Betr. Not in July though, but everybody wins in terms of their deposit match and whatnot. So yeah, I've been playing on Betr a little bit more. It's a fun pick'em site. What's going on, Yee, JR, Knuckles? What's going on? Oh man, for real, bro. Like, what a better example, right? Jacoby Jones died in his sleep, peacefully died in his home, according to his family. Literally, we just got through talking about #bless. Okay, so that shit ain't cliche. It's not something we talk about just to talk about. It's for real. So for real, started his career off in Houston, bounced back, got a ring in Baltimore, right? Baltimore. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Let's get this dough. He was young. Yeah, he was young. What was he? I don't believe he was in his 40s. Was he? Mid 30s, late 30s, something like that. It's tough. It's tough. All right. Tell you what. We're going to pull up the PrizePicks dashboard here. And then we're going to pull up the Odds Jam Optimizer as well. If you've never seen the Odds Jam Optimizer, it's pretty cool. Good mobile app as well. Just trying to refresh my PrizePicks. It was still loading up yesterday's tacos. How'd those tacos do for y'all? Paul Skeens goes over his strikeouts. Our esports taco hits. Did Altuve hit? Astros have been really going through it. It's I talked about this on another stream, but they look really old. A lot of their core is old. You know, Altuve is getting older. Bregman's getting older. Jordan is so inconsistent. They need to start ushering in a lot of that young talent from the farm system or making some trades. Every organization goes through it, but you know, Astros had a nice run for a good 7-8 years, maybe 10, but they're just looking bad. They're just not looking the same. Maybe they're a playoff team in terms of they turn it on in the playoffs, but right now I'm just noticing they just don't look strong. Not as strong as they've looked in the past. Altuve did not finish the game. He got pulled out for Diaz. So he was 0 for 3. No fantasy points, no hits, no runs, no RBI. So that was a tough taco. If you play that one like me, that contributed to your losses yesterday. Knuckles says, I'm older than him, about to turn 40. He was in his 30s. Oh, wow. Yeah. Super young. Travis, what's up, man? It says, I only played Skeens. No Altuve. Yeah, he didn't hit. Skeens was good. The Oscar play, the CS2 play, that was good too. That was a good middling opportunity because he goes over his taco and then he goes under his original line. So you could have played that in both slips. And that was a good middling opportunity. I mean, that was a difference of 7.5 kills. That's a huge discrepancy. It's a good time to middle. All right. So we got PrizePicks pulled up here on the board. So what we'll do is talk about all player props. Doesn't matter which pick'em site you're on. We'll talk about all the player props you want to talk about. We'll go over your questions as always. And then we'll just bounce back and forth between PrizePicks, OddsJam, and props.cash. So props.cash is another resource that we use here. Correlates really well with OddsJam. So we can find the value on OddsJam and then dig it up on props.cash, kind of reverse engineer it and see what makes it a good play. So that way it makes sense to you. And if you feel good about it, then you can play that in a slip. And we can look up pretty much any play on props.cash, regardless of the pick'em site. So it doesn't matter where you play. We can look it up just the same and figure out what plays are the best plays to play. So thanks25 is the promo code. You can use it, get 25% off your first month on props.cash. All right. Let's do this. We're about to pull up the Odds Jam Optimizer. If you've never seen this before, it's pretty straightforward, very clean. Mobile app is legit. I actually like using a mobile app more than the desktop app just because it's just a little bit more accessible on your phone and it doesn't exclude information. Sometimes on mobile apps, just to make room or make the navigation better, a lot of pick'em sites will reduce the amount of information you can see. But on OddsJam, it's just like looking at the desktop app, except it's just cleaner when it's on your phone. So let's do that. All right, so we got the OddsJam Optimizer. So what we can do, if you have a player prop, throw it in the chat. We can just jump on over to props.cash. We can put them on the PrizePicks board as we go or whatever. But if you see a play here on the optimizer, let me know what stands out to you. So we can go through PrizePicks, we can go through Underdog, we can go through Betr, Sleeper. We can go through some slow ass time here. Underdog here, we got Betr. Those are my 3 favorite pick'em sites right now. But if you are a sleeper, if you are a flipper, if you are a parlay player, if you are a boomer, a dabbler, whatever you are, we can just kind of go through all the pick'em sites and see what stands out. Now, I'm not going to build a slip on all these pick'em sites, but if you see a play that you like, you can throw it in your slip. So, tell you what, let's start off on, we're going to skip back to PrizePicks here because we had the PrizePicks dashboard pulled up, and we're going to pull up the OddsJam PrizePicks value, and then we're going to see if we can create some alignment here and maybe build a slip. If that sounds good to y'all. How do you feel about this new underdog streaks? Man, I got to be honest with you. I don't know what that is. Is that a new program or a new incentive that they're doing on underdog? Oh, I just literally just pulled it up right now. Maybe I should have just waited and just looked it up. Turn $10 into as much as 10K. Oh, is it just like a ladder challenge almost, where like you hit until you lose? All right. What about Ozuna over 3.5 total bases? What about Montrezl Harrell over what's TBT? Oh, okay. Is it the specials tab? I know T likes those special those plays. I don't see it. All right, so on the OddsJam optimizer, real quick, just run through. Basically, what we're looking for is green plays. That's really just keeping it real simple, right? Green plays, good plays. Red plays aren't necessarily bad plays. If we have enough data to support it, we can still correlate it into a slip. As long as it equals a plus EV slip, we're fine. But ideally, you want green plays. And something that I look for is the most data points I can find. So data points are just supporting books, right? So whether it's another pick'em site or a book that also is playing this line, it gives you that line to compare. So for instance, this top line, Luis Castillo, PrizePicks, 34.5 pitcher fantasy score. The move here is to go under on it. 57% chance to hit, to go under. You got 3 books that also say this is under. So this is pretty good data. You got 3 books that say it should be around 31 fantasy points, maybe 32 if you want to be generous, but 34, meaning he needs 34.6 or 35 points to go over. That's a huge discrepancy. So you can also set your minimum data points. We got it set to 2. You know, if we set it to 3 and just ensured that every play that we see on the screen is going to have 3 data points, which is pretty strong support, you're not going to have as many plays available to you. So just know that. So let's go back to 2 because I think it's easier and we'll still be able to find some value. So the Luis Castillo was just an example of what we can do. Also, you can look at Zach Eflin. So we got Zach Eflin, Luis Castillo. We got 4 pitchers with unders on their fantasy score. Nathan Eovaldi, Tanner Bybee, all 3 these are under. And then you got Bybee with the over. So basically this is telling you that PrizePicks has it set too low at 35.5 because you have 3 other books that are projecting this closer to 38. So there's a nice discrepancy there. This is a good example, a strikeout prop for Hunter Brown over 6, you can see that most books have this set to 6.5. PrizePicks has it set to 6. It's still grading out fairly well, but in order for him to get the 6, the over on this, he needs 7. And these books are saying that he's not gonna get 7. So you got to pick and choose, you know, the plays. You can't always get, you know, the perfect slip. So you'll have to make some executive decisions on your slip. So if there's anything here on the optimizer that you see that you want to dig into, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just start digging into your own plays using props.cash. Let's see. Let's look up Ozuna. So is Ozuna on PrizePicks, or is that an underdog play? Appreciate y'all being here. Hit that like button on your way in. If you've been here for over 1 minute, hit that like button. So I'm assuming the Ozuna play is an underdog play. I'm going to look it up right now. Or is it a demon play? I do not see Ozuna 3.5 total bases. Was it a demon play on PrizePicks? Okay. Yeah, it is a demon play on PrizePicks. So you're looking to go demon right off the bat. Screaming demon right off the bat. There we go. Okay, so 3.5 total bases. That's what you're looking at. Okay, so his original line is 1.5. On Underdog, you can find his total bases nowhere. They're like, fuck that. We're not giving you a total base prop on this, dude. So PrizePicks is not the only place, but PrizePicks is where you're looking at right now for his total base, both total base and demon total base. All right, so let's go to maybe I should pull up my props.cash. So unprepared. So unprepared here. All right, let's go to props.cash. Let's use the resources from the pros, the professionals, to look up this Marcell Ozuna play. So if you are a first time watcher, I'm throwing a lot of different things at you right now. I'm throwing props.cash at you. I'm throwing odds jam optimizer at you. So just hang tight, because we use a lot of resources. The more the better. The more reputable resources, the better. So let's take a look at Marcell Ozuna total bases. We're gonna look up his a normal line, because props.cash is not going to show you his demon lines, right? Is it the first game against Cincinnati? But what we can do is basically just take a look at his last 5 and 10 games. We can take a look at his head-to-head matchup. We can take a look at his BVP and see if there's anything that stands out. Makes you want to play the over on 3.5 total bases. Basically, that's a home run. So we can start there. Go to home run prop. We can see that it's plus 275 to go over, minus 425 to go under. He has 5 home runs in his last 10 games. Over his last 5, he has 2. So home runs are not singles. Those are not easy to hit every game. So if you are averaging close to 1 per game, that's fantastic. 0.5 over his last 10. I mean, that's pretty damn strong. When you look at his hits, runs, and RBIs, he's got a modest projection of 2.25. Home run, you're never going to see home run, projection over 1. Very rarely. I can't remember any time where I've seen someone projected to actually hit a home run. It's always going to be slightly below that 0.5. He has no history against Montas. Really? Montas has been in the league for a minute. So what we'll do now is we'll look at his numbers versus righties to see if this one stands out to you. Ozuna versus right-handed pitching. On the year, he's batting .295. 23 out of his 28 home runs have come against the right side, the right-siders. Now, .295 batting average is showing red only because he's batting .363 versus lefties. So in comparison, it's red. But if you are batting .295 in the major leagues, it's pretty strong, especially if you're displaying this kind of power. So his numbers against righties look good. We looked at his home run prop today. Now, he had 8 total bases here. That would obviously get it done. But over his last 5 games, because he's averaging 2.6. Over his last 10 games, he's had 2 games where he's gotten you 8 total bases. 1 game, he got you 5. Then the rest of them are 2 or below. So he's obviously capable of getting the demon line here. Numbers against Cincinnati are fine. This game is at home. Make sure you're checking the weather in Atlanta. This time of year, Atlanta is just going through it. So make sure the forecast does not call for heavy showers and shit like that. Just if it does, just avoid the play, because the last thing you want to do is put somebody in your lineup and they get a DNP and it kind of fucks up everything. So that's on you, though. That's not, I don't control the weather. So you want to go over 1.5 total bases. I think that's in play. If you want to go over the 3.5, however, you need a home run. I really believe you need a home run because there's not a single hit he can give you that's going to equal 4 except a home run. So you need him to get you 2 hits to go over 3.5 total bases. You need a double. Damn, you need 2 doubles. Listen to this. You need 2 doubles. You need a triple and a single. You need a double and a triple. What's the easiest route? A home run. So I think you're basically playing this if you feel he gets you a home run. He has home run upside because he's only had 2 in his last 10 games where he's giving you multiple hits. Okay. So just think about all that. If you're going to play demon on this one, just think about all that. But I think his 1.5 is in play. I mean, honestly, you could really leverage this play if you think that he gives you a home run, because then he obviously goes over his fantasy score. So if we pop back over to PrizePicks, these are the lines that will be in play, in my opinion. Total bases, fantasy score. If you feel he gets you the over on his 3.5 total bases, he's going over fantasy score. Okay. If he went out there and got you 4 singles today, that's 12 fantasy points. So fantasy points are going to get blasted on if he goes over total baseline. Multiple hits could be in play, but it's not the easiest thing to get 2+ hits in a major league game. It's really not. So I think these are in play. These correlate really well. I would love it if we had a home run prop for him. You can play his home run prop on underdog. It's a 2x. It's a boost. But on PrizePicks, if you want to go over his total bases on the demon level, I think you can also look to his fantasy score. It might be possible for him to get fantasy and not get total bases, but if he gets total bases, he's crushing fantasy. Does that make sense? What's going on, Big Icy Grand Rising? Yes. All right. Let's what other plays do y'all got? I'm gonna pop back over to the OddsJam, and I'm gonna dig into a couple of these plays that I'm seeing on the board. But for now, I'm gonna put the Marcell Ozuna fantasy score up on PrizePicks just as our first play. All right, so you have this Luis Castillo play. We talked about the under on this one. You got 3 books. We can look at this one on props.cash. We have an esports play, a League of Legends play. Bukata under. First 3 map kills 4. And there are no data points on this one. I typically stay away from plays like this where it's just 1 data point, because this tells me that there's no information on this and the line is just kind of up for grabs. The more information you have to support it, it gives you a better idea of where that line should be set. But when you just have 2 plays, two points, nobody knows where it's set, right? So we'll move on. Let's take a look at Matt Waldron under his pitcher fantasy score. Man, these pitcher fantasy scores are getting hammered for the under. You got 3 right there. Hunter Brown over strikeouts. We can look at that one. Let's get into some of these other plays that aren't green, because we might be able to find some value here. So Tanner Bybee and Jack Flaherty over strikeouts. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books that support the under on this one. We need to do a little groundwork on this one, but I do like the fact that he is projected to go over his own fantasy score. And if he just does his share of the work, which is basically 5 to 6 strikeouts, then Flaherty would need to do the other 5 to 6 strikeouts. So let's look up this Tanner Bybee fantasy score, and then we'll look up the Jack Flaherty and Tanner Bybee combo prop. Sometimes these combo props get yanked off the board. Like this girl's weave got yanked out her head one time in high school. I don't know if y'all have ever seen a fight between 2 people where somebody's extensions or weave gets pulled out their head, gets yanked out their head. It's disturbing because it doesn't just fall out on its own. Like, that shit's in there. And it just like, 1 minute they have a head full of hair, and then the other minute, what am I looking for? And the other minute is just like a big patch missing. Somebody has like a handful of braids and shit. So yeah, sometimes these pitcher strikeout props get yanked out like weave. All right, here we go. So we have Flaherty and Tanner Bybee. All right, let's go to Props.cash. Let's look this one up. So if you can find good pitcher strikeout props, combo props, those are going to offer really good value if you get them in time. So let's look at Tanner Bybee. His last 5 games, he's averaging 7 strikeouts. His low point was 3, but up until that point, he was giving you 6 or more. I think 6 is in play. Projection of 6 right here. Odds are not in favor of his 7 strikeouts, so looks like 6 is where it'll land based off what we're seeing here. Let's unfilter that. So those are his home games. Now over his last 5 games altogether, he's averaging 5. Over his last 10 games, he's averaging 7. So a lot more data here to look at. So we can look at the last 10. So if Bybee goes out there and gets you 6, which is highly likely, then we got Jack Flaherty, who has been mowing teams down. 2 games out of his last 10 where he's been under 5, but the other 8 games he's giving you 6 or more. So if he were to go out there and get you 6, you got 6 and 6. That looks good. He is projected for 7, but we got a lot of books that say he's not going to get the over on his 5.5. Cleveland's a tough team to strike out, right? They rank 29th in the MLB versus righties. They're only striking out at a 19% clip. When you look at Tanner Bybee versus the Detroit Tigers, the Motor City Kitties, you have a 24% whiff rate versus righties. They are top 10. So it might be more likely that Bybee gets you 7 than Flaherty gets you 6. Any combination of 12 is going to do. So you could take the over on that one. It is set to 11, so there is push potential. So it might end up saving your slip. But we really need to be confident in this going over. Otherwise, I don't really see a point in playing it. We're not playing for the push. So Tanner Bybee's fantasy points, we can look at that one. I think his fantasy score was set to 35.5. So the matchup is obviously there for him versus Detroit. Now, we can look at what Detroit has done against Bybee. You got one, two, three, four batters with positive batting averages who have fared well against Bybee. The strikeouts against him, you got, oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4 batters in there with 20 plus strikeout rate. You got 1, 2, 3 in the high teens, close to 20. So, and then you have 2 batters in there with no strikeout information. So building out a fantasy score, real simple stuff. So what we'll start with is the strikeouts. If we say he gets you 6 today, that's 18 points. If we say he pitches into the 6th inning, if he gets you 6 innings exactly, that's another 18 points. So that's 36. You got to factor in the quality start bonus. That's 40 fantasy points. And then if he is projected to give up 2 earned runs, man, the 2 earned runs is going to hurt because that brings it right back down to 34 fantasy points. Now, if the Guardians get the win and he gets credit for the win, then it gets bumped back up to 40. So basically 6 points for the win. If he gives up 2 earned runs, they cancel each other out. So it's possible he winds up with about 40 fantasy points if all goes according to plan. In the event he gives up 3 or more earned runs, I think it's going to be really hard for him to go over his fantasy score. We would love to see him get us 7 strikeouts here. We would love to see him get us, 19 innings pitch. 19 plus 21 is 40. 40 plus the 4-point quality start, that's 44. And then minus the 6 points for the earned runs, that's 38. So that's what we really want, is 7 and 19. Then he can give up 2, maybe even 3 earned runs. And if they also get the win, then Bybee's in line for a lot of fantasy score. The matchup is better than Flaherty's matchup versus the Guardians. So I think Bybee's fantasy score is in play. If you pop back over to OddsJam, 35.5 is the line set, 54.5% chance to hit. And then we have DraftKings, we have Caesars, and then we have Bovada. All 3 pretty reputable books that like the over. So that's telling you that PrizePicks has this set a little too low. So out of the 2 between the Flaherty and Bybee strikeout prop, and then just Bybee's fantasy score, we got 2 pretty strong props. We obviously have to choose one. We can't play both of them. Can't have 2 picks in there with the same guy. So those are pretty strong. Let's see. How do you feel about playing Nerfy props? Would you play them? Yeah. If we can find some good Nerfy lines, let's play them. We can look up Nerfy historical odds on props.cash. What's up, Bible Reads? You're definitely new in the chat. I've never seen that name before, unless you've changed it. But welcome anyway. Appreciate you being here. Let's look at, I keep forgetting about this Montrizzle Hizzle points over. It's in the TBT tab at the top. All right. Oh, okay. So what are we looking at for him, T? We're looking at his points. Okay. So 15 points for Montrizzle Hizzle. It sucks that we can't look at last 5 games for these. Why do you like this one, T? All right, let's go back. So the Flaherty and Tanner Bybee play, it's not a green play, but there are a lot of data points that like the over on this one. We just broke it down. We know what exactly has to happen for this to go over. There is push potential there. So Hunter Brown under 38.5 fantasy points. This one does not look as appealing, whereas the other fantasy points, we were getting 3 books. This one is only giving us 2, and it's already below the percent chance to hit that we want. So I'm gonna skip on good old Hunter Doo-Doo Brown. Matt Wallace. So now we're getting into some PGA. You're really not gonna find data points on PGA props like you would MLB or NBA or WNBA. So having 2 data points is pretty strong. Right below that, you can see that Chan Kim is only giving you 1 data point. So anytime we get 2 data points on a PGA prop, it's worth looking at. FanDuel and DraftKings has this set to 69.5. That's where you want to play it. If you have access to those books, play the under there because it's giving you a higher line with no push potential. On PrizePicks, you have major push potential. I don't know how often you play golf props, but they land exactly on that number a lot. So it is always risky to play that flat line. You always want to look for something that's going to give you that 0.5 edge. So I'm just going to skip these. And then we have this CS2 play, JW under 12, first 2 maps, headshots. Now, even though it's a flat number, you're getting 2 points on underdog and HOTSTREAK at 11.5. So they're saying the line should be set to 11.5. We see him getting 12. This one's set to 12. So again, there's a lot of push potential here. I'm giving you an insight into how I look at player props when I'm looking at boards and optimizers. I'm just talking out loud and I'm just kind of trying to figure out what makes this play so good. And then I just play it if I like it. This Aaron Nola play looks better. It's down here in the red at 53.5% chance to hit. So it's not off by a ton. You want average of minus 119 odds. So you can see here, minus 115 is not 119, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 data points. So really, you're just following the data. This is telling you that under 6.5 is in play. You got 8 different books that are playing the under on this one. So then you look to play the under as well. That's a ton of juice coming in on the under. We can break this one down also because the Minnesota Twins are not the strongest team. So let's look up this Aaron Nola play. And is there another one we can look at? There's another PGA prop set to 69. Ooh, okay, so 3 bats that I typically stay away from, regardless of what the numbers say. On unders, Shohei Ohtani, Jarren Duran, and there was a third one. Those are the 2 that Bobby Witt. When I see unders on those, I really just stay away from them because those 3 players are so electric. Yeah, I got to see some really strong data to support the under on those dudes. All right, so we're getting down here in the depths, the deep, deep, dark sea, the Red Sea. 34, 34, 34. This is a Flaherty fantasy score. So we just talked about the over on the combo strikeout prop for Flaherty with Bybee. Let's go back and look at the Aaron Nola play, and then let's look at underdog next. We're spending a lot of time on PrizePicks, but let's look at this Aaron Nola under his strikeouts. and see if we can make some sense out of that. We had a lot of books that were looking at the under at 6.5. Now the matchup against Minnesota is not that bad. I mean, they are whiffing at a 21% rate to righties. That's 19th in the major leagues. Over his last 10 games, we've seen Nola hit the over on this in 3, but he's finished with exactly 6 in 3 games, and in the other 4 games, he's under. So you got a lot of good information here that supports the under. It supports the odds jam line. It supports the odds. He is projected for 6. You got, again, so look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Props.cash is showing you 5 books that like the under. So you're getting a lot of solid information. And then BVP. So look, only 3 batters have faced him. 2 of them have positive batting averages, but the sample size is super low. If you're just skeptical about this play, just stay away from it. But the whole point of this is finding plays with the most information that support either way. We want the most information that supports the over or the under. And you don't even have to believe it's going to happen, because the numbers are telling you that it's going to happen, right? I mean, math usually wins in the long run. So you play the math, and then you play the data. But if you don't want to, then don't, because ultimately at the end of the day, they're your slips. Don't play something that you don't want to play, period. So it doesn't mean you have to play the over on this one. Maybe you just stay away from it. Not liking a play doesn't mean you do the opposite. Sometimes you just say, I'm not going to touch that. But I think this Nola play is in play. And the Flaherty and Tanner Bybee play just got bumped up. So that makes our decision easier. So what we're going to do is take out Bybee and Flaherty, and we're going to leave his fantasy score in there. So that was easy. We're trying to figure out which one was going to be the one we kept in the slip. And PrizePicks just made that decision really easy for us. Now, Nola's strikeouts got bumped down to 6. So now we're at this crossroads. So it does change a little bit, but not a lot, because it just offers more push potential. But the fact is, he's only gone over 6 in 3 games. It does hurt a little bit, because if he gets you 6, then that play basically gets canceled and you don't get the full payout for your slip. It just reduces down to the next level. So maybe we stay away from this one. It's all good. It's all good. Any other PrizePicks plays that y'all want to see broke down, or then a titty falls out? Yeah, then a titty falls out. For real. Yeah, Witt, anytime I see the under on him, I talk about this a lot. There are players who go on streaks and you just stay away from them. Like Sabonis in the NBA with his rebounds and assists, the line just kept getting higher and higher, and he just kept getting the over. At some point, you just have to buy into it, or you just stand your ground and stay away from it. But playing the unders on some of these players, there are so many plays out there, I just pass those up. I'm not going to risk my slip. Let's look at Devers over total bases. Yeah. For sure. I want to see if we can put a 5 or a 6-man slip in here. Then a titty falls out. All right. I feel like somebody usually walks away with just one shoe. Like nobody can find that other shoe. It all happened so fast. All right, let's look at Devers in Colorado versus the Rockies. Looking at his total bases at 1.5, minus 127 to go over this line. He is projected for 1.4. So the odds are going to outweigh the projections every time, no matter what they say. If you have a projection that contradicts the odds are going to outweigh the projections, because projections vary and odds are across the industry. And the more odds or data points you have, it just makes that play stronger. So for books like the over on Devers, they're not super convincing. You got 128 compared to minus 104, 127 to 108. DraftKings really likes the over on this one, and BetMGM. So all three of these books are pretty in line. DraftKings is the only one that's giving you these high odds. However, over his last 10 games, Devers is averaging 1.7 total bases, which is 2, basically. His numbers against Colorado, he has 2 games to look at. Only 1 this season, though. Got you 4. Was it a home run? No, it was just multiple hits. 2 hits, and was it 2 doubles? Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. So Devers' numbers against Cal Quantrill, pretty strong. 9 plate appearances, 375 batting average, a double, a single, a home run, and an RBI. He's just missing the triple to complete the cycle. He's the only player in this lineup that's had success against Quantrill. Against righties, though, this team hits well. I mean, really, 1 through 5. It's pretty scary in terms of what they're doing against righties. Tyler O'Neill, I would say for what he lacks in the batting average department, he makes up for it in pop. But 34% strikeout rate is not good. Devers is keeping the strikeouts low against righties. Walks are high. Obviously, you don't want him to walk because he doesn't get credit for a total base. So in 9 at-bats, he struck out 3 times. He's walked basically once. And in the other at-bats, he's either gotten on base or put the ball in play. So you want him to put the ball in play. You don't have a chance when you strike out. So as long as he's putting the ball in play, especially in Coors Field, where a single can turn into a double can be a home run in that environment. So that one looks pretty strong. Let's see if we can find it on PrizePicks. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like button on your way in or on your way out. If you got a dip, maybe you're watching this in the bathroom at work. Maybe you're taking a smoke break. Maybe you forgot something in your car and you have to run out and get it. All right, so we got Devers over. The only one we weren't able to look up is Harrell over his points. Bybee over, and then Marcell Ozuna over. Now, we chose the over on Ozuna's fantasy score because we originally were looking up his demon line of 3.5. But what we looked at on props.cash supported more his fantasy score than his demon. However, I mentioned you can play both in separate slips because if he goes over his 3.5 total bases, he's going over his fantasy score. He can easily go over fantasy score and not go over total bases. He can get a walk. He can get hit by a pitch. He can get a sac fly. He can get a double. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of ways to manufacture a fantasy score and not go over a total base prop. All right. So we got 4. Let's see if we can find an under. Anything on underdog y'all want to see? Speaking of unders, let me refresh this page. Let's dig into some underdog plays. I know y'all play on underdog. Luis Castillo is standing out as the top play here, but just 2 data points. Let's see if we can find something that better supports We got Tanner Bybee. So we got Tanner Bybee on both Underdog and PrizePicks. 35.5 is his line. So now you're getting it on 2 different pick'em sites. That is a good sign. It's probably going to get bumped up at some point. Fingers crossed. Doesn't happen while we're on the stream. Jordan under 9.5 fantasy score. Jack Flaherty. So this one was showing on PrizePicks, but on Underdog, it's actually a plus EV play at 50 to 55.3. Another fantasy score for Shohei. I stay away from Shohei because that guy is too good. That's just what I do. You can play the numbers, but there are way too many plays to fuck with Shohei. I'm more likely to hate on Judge and play the under on Judge than Shohei. Evaldi under fantasy. Tyler O'Neill under fantasy score. 10.5 is a big number. They are in Coors Field. Obviously, if he hits a home run, he goes over this, but that could be something to look at. Seems like just a lot of pitcher fantasy scores are flooding the market. Justin Steele under 2 earned runs. Now, nobody else has it at 2, but you have -175 to go over on DraftKings, BetMGM. Look at all these books that like the over 1.5. When we see a 175, when we see a -175 on a 1.5 line, that's closer to 3. So that explains why it's still projected to go over at 2, even though it's a higher line. There's also push potential here. You can't ignore those data points. That's a lot of books that like that shit. Trey Turner over hits, runs, and RBIs. This is on Underdog. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that like the over on this one. I wonder if we can find it on sorry about that. I was talking this whole time and didn't have my damn screen on HOTSTREAK. So we found this Trey Turner hits, runs, and RBIs line, and I was just scrolling down trying to find some value other than pitcher fantasy scores. That Justin Steele over 2 earned runs. These are all the books that like the over 1.5, but notice the inflated lines here. All that juice coming in on the under. 180, 175. That's closer to 3 earned runs than 2. He's at 2 on Underdog, so you could play the over on this one and hoping he gives up 3. There's always a chance he lands on 2 exactly. But the Trey Turner over hits, runs, and RBIs, I wanted to see if it was on PrizePicks, because if it is on PrizePicks and I want to throw it in, nah. So the play is on Underdog because Underdog is giving you the lowest line by far at 1.5. That's really low. Okay, on PrizePicks, they're not even giving you an original line. They're giving you a 2.5 or a 0.5. So it's riskier or low payout. So you would play this on Underdog because it's actually at a 1.1. So they're giving you a little bit more of a boost on this one on Underdog. Oh, we're looking at his hits, runs, and RBIs. My bad. So his hits, runs, and RBIs is normal on Underdog. But on PrizePicks, you can see they're giving you a 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. So this is why it's pretty beneficial to play on different pick'em sites, because what you see on one isn't what you see on the other. So if you were just on PrizePicks, you would say, oh, I like Trey Turner, or I'm a fan of his. Okay, I'll play the over, not knowing that this shit's available at a lower line somewhere else. So it's like, you know, trying to buy a pair of shoes at Foot Locker and then seeing them at a lower price on eBay, you're just going to buy them on eBay, right? Same shit, different price. So it's the same thing, right? Trey Turner line, it's just more expensive on PrizePicks. Don't play it. Let's see. Oh, something got bumped. Fucking Bybee. Didn't we just talk about him not getting bumped up? Devers RBI and Ellie home run. Ellie De La Cruz hits, runs, and RBIs. We're eating today. What's going on, Mark? Morning. Well, we're gonna take this. We're gonna leave Bybee in for now. Let's lock a slip on PrizePicks because they're gonna keep bumping these lines. So I at least want to get one slip in here. At least want to get one slip built on PrizePicks, using some of your plays and then using some plays that we're finding on OddsJam. All right, so let's see. I thought that read Trevor Lawrence. It's like, oh, he's golfing now? Got paid all that money. He's like going on golfing trips and shit. So there's Bybee. They still have Bybee over his fantasy score. Now, and the way we broke this down on props.cash, we didn't have him getting 37. We had him getting 40 or like way less because it's all dependent on his earned runs. If he gives up 3+ earned runs, it's hard for him to get the over. So it doesn't matter if it's at 36 or 35. He's going to finish with like 34. But if he allows 2 earned runs and he gets you 7 strikeouts and goes into the 6th inning, that's 19 pitching outs, 20 pitching outs. Then he has the leverage. Then he has the wiggle room to give up 3 earned runs because it's not going to hurt his fantasy score. When you factor in win bonus and quality start bonus, he's going to blast through 36.5. The question is the earned run. So even though this one got bumped, it's still in play. It's just not as strong of a play. We always want to get the lower line, and we missed out. I missed out. So I'm going to leave it in there for now. Ellie De La Cruz, who talked about him? So we got over hits, runs, and RBIs here. Mark, right? Mark Martinez, M&M, M squared. So let's look at this. We got 4 data points that like the over on this one. What's keeping this from being a higher percentage play is DraftKings kind of being the hater here. So you got 3 books that are giving you -130 or more, 150 on Fliff. All right, so that's keeping it low. 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Let's do it. Let's add Ellie in there, and then we'll look him up also on props.cash. But I want to get him in there. So we have Ozuna over, Harrell over, Devers over, Bybee. We're going to leave him in there. And then we got De La Cruz over his hits, runs, and RBIs. Let's see here. Now we're in the deep Red Sea right now. If you are wondering what we're doing here, this is OddsJam's Fantasy Optimizer, and we're really just looking for value. We're looking for multiple data points that support it, preferably green plays. But if they're not green plays, if they correlate well, then we can consider them. I think where I stop searching is anything below 52%. You're getting like really, really, really desperate there. Refresh the page and start over again. If you ever find yourself scrolling too far down, just refresh it, start over again, because these plays update pretty often. In fact, let's go ahead and just refresh it real quick and make sure that we're not getting some outdated shit. So Luis Castillo is still topping the charts. Now we got Zach Eflin under 27. Look at the discrepancy here. You got 3 books, same 3 books, Caesars, DraftKings, Bovada, giving you basically 24 points. Because if you want to round this down to the nearest, that's going to give you 24. His line set to 27.5. That means he needs 27.6 or more, probably 28, right? 28 fantasy points. That's a big discrepancy. And you're getting 3 books that like it. So that's in consideration. Uvalde under, same thing here. Not as good of a play because you have 2 that are giving you different lines, right? Versus the Eflin play, they're all 24. So that's going to be the better of the 2. Justin Steele strikeouts. Now he needs 6 strikeouts today to get the over on this one. So if it were at 4.5, or you can find it at 4.5, that'd be a pretty damn good play. All right, we're gonna scroll. We could throw one of these esport plays in here, but we don't have any real convincing lines. I mean, you do have a small discrepancy, but not a huge one. Juan Soto under 8 fantasy points. The Subway Series here. We got Goldie under runs. That might be worth a look. You can't score a run unless your teammates help you out, right? Or unless you hit a home run. But you can't like hit a single and that's not a run. So he needs to get on base, which is a hit or a walk. And then his teammate needs to drive him in. So this is like teamwork makes the dream work type shit right here. We can look at the under on Goldie's 0.5 runs. And we'll go over to props.cash and we will look at that. And I need to look at the right game. I'll be searching for Paul Goldschmidt forever. Looking at this Colorado-Boston game. Where is St. Louis? Oh, there. Okay. All right, so he's been scoring a shit ton of runs against the Pirates over his last 10 games. 3 over his last 5 games, just 1 run scored. Today he is projected for 0.6 runs, which is over. However, your odds are giving you a different story. You have 3 data points that support the under. Pretty identical lines here, almost identical here. His numbers against Martin Perez, he has 2 singles and 1 RBI. BVP, so Goldie's batting somewhere in the middle of this lineup. That means one of these guys has to get it done, right? So Donovan, Carlson, Nootbaar, Pages, maybe Wynn. If Goldie leads off an inning and he's batting 5, if he gets a hit, both of these guys can strike out or, be out. And then it would be Nootbaar's opportunity to drive him in. If Goldie gets on and these 3 guys don't get it done, then inning over, right? If Goldie got on, then Donovan got on, Carlson, Nootbaar got out, and it would be up to Pages. That's why it could go all the way up to the top of the order in terms of that person being able to drive him in. But There isn't a lot of positive data here versus Martin Perez. In fact, they're not striking out a lot, but they just aren't getting on base. So I think looking at this run under for Goldie, he has to get on base first of all. So looks like he'll get a hit today based off these numbers. And a single might be what he gets. So, all right. This isn't the most like EV. This isn't the most EV plus EV lineup that I've made. But well, that play is not on the board anymore. They just removed it. So I guess it was a better play than I thought it was. Okay, so moving on. If y'all have a PrizePicks play you want me to look up so we can complete this line, throw it in the chat. Mark said against Martin Perez, who gives up a lot of runs. Maybe we didn't want to play that one. Maybe it wasn't as good of a play, but it got taken off the board, so we can't do anything with it. Andrew Monasterio. Sometimes these guys get scratched. A lot of these platoon guys are these serviceable guys that play multiple positions and shit like that. You'll see them listed as a prop. They get scratched, and so those are real tough ones because they really mess up your slip. You know, you could be looking at a 25x and it automatically gets reduced to a 10x. I mean, that's a big drop off in payout. So sometimes those plays can look really good, but honestly, they may not be worth it in a lot of slips. Maybe one or two of those in a slip, but to have them all throughout all your slips, the worst thing is to play a guy in multiple slips and he gets scratched, and then all your slips are kind of messed up at that point. CJ Abrams really let me down yesterday. It's not personal. All right, so far we got 5 plays for PrizePicks. We can run these 5. I mean, we can go Zuna, we can go Harrell, we can go Devers, we can go Bybee, we can go Edley De La Cruz. Want to make it a 6 pick? We need one more. Want to make it just a 5 pick? We got what we want. We can just push that submit lineup button and be done with it. I'd like to play one more if possible. We might have to go back up to this Andrew Monasterio over bases. So on this one, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had 6 data points. On Props.cash, it's only giving you 3. So we know for a fact that there are way more books out there playing the over on this one that have the over on this one. He has 4 total bases in his last 5 games, over his last 10. He has 6, 8 total bases. His numbers against Justin Steele are good enough. Okay, at a 0.5 prop, we don't need him to have 4 home runs and shit like that. He has 3 singles. That's plenty. He has 8 plate appearances, so basically that's 2 games. I'm assuming he has 4 at-bats in each game. He's averaging roughly 4. It could be 3 games. He could get 3, 3, and 2, or maybe he, 4-3 and then got in for a pinch hit. But we're keeping it simple. In 2 games, he has 3 hits. BVP versus Justin Steele. The Brewers lineup really likes playing against Justin Steele. Not a ton of sample size throughout the lineup, but every batter basically has a plus batting average. Outside of Adames and Perkins, it's possible they're not even in the lineup today if they're batting so poorly against Steele. Strikeouts are pretty high, I'm not going to lie. But we don't care. Monasterio can get in and get a single and then strike out 2 more times. Who gives a shit? He got a single. So we got positive numbers against Justin Steele. All right. His numbers against lefties in general are not that great. Against Justin Steele, they are better than Justin Steele versus righties. Giving a little bit of power there. Projection for Monasterio. No projection, but we do have 3 books that like it. We also have 6 books on OddsJam that like this one. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Does he spell his name like Andrew Jones with the U instead of the E? He does. All right. All right, we're going all overs here. I don't like to play all overs or all unders unless the numbers say that's the best play. But I don't aim to put only overs or only unders in my slip. Just play the best plays. If they happen to be all overs or unders, I'm cool with that. But sometimes you can miss out on a good pick or good value if you're only playing a certain lineup, right? So it just so happens that all these plays that we put in a slip are over. Ozuna over, Harrell over, Devers over, Bybee, De La Cruz, and Andrew Monasterio over his 0.5 total bases. So that's our slip that we built on PrizePicks. Only took us an hour and 10 minutes to build out a slip. Mark says that Steele's at 5.5 on PrizePick, maybe is under. BetMGM has it at -140 to go under. He's on. Steele is showing up on OddsJam, so it's actually not that bad of a play. I don't believe it's a green play. I believe it might be a yellow play. It's actually a red play. So we got 53.29% chance to hit. We talk about following the data, and the data says the under is in play. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that have juice on this under pretty convincingly. I mean, nothing under 130. Let's even refresh the page to see if some of these plays are moved. Sometimes you can kind of tell when a play is going to get moved. The more data you see coming in on a play, the chances are it's going to get bumped up. PrizePicks, Underdog, Betr, their whole thing is trying to keep a play on even ground. Anytime a play starts to receive juice, too much juice to either side, they have to adjust it. So think of like a seesaw, right? They want the seesaw to be right here. Too much juice is coming in on the under or over, it looks like that. Their job is to get it back here, which is why you see a 0.5 bump or a point bump. So if you see that, if you see 6, 7 data points, you can kind of see where that line might get bumped up. So we were looking at Justin Steele, 20 seconds ago, it was at 53.4. Now it's at 53.9. It's only 1.66 points away from being considered a plus EV play. So it's trending in the right direction. So now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Again, we saw it happening. Now it's happening, right? So the under on that one, you can look at. If you want to take a look at his strikeouts over on props.cash, so over his last 5 games, Justin Steele is averaging 6. He's gone under in 2. He has gone over in 3. Numbers at home, last 3 home games have been very good, but they are coming down. Over his last 10 games, 12 strikeouts was his high point. That's a little bit of an outlier in throughout the season. Strong numbers here. I think what we saw over his last 10 home games, that trickled into last season. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. These 3 games don't matter to us because this is where the season started for him. So his high point this season is 8. When we go and look at his year totals at home, high point has been 8. When we look at his year totals overall, his high point is 9. Those seem like outlier games. They're really not happening all that often. 7 is happening way more often than 8 or 9. 6 is also in play. But when we look at his strikeouts today, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 books. We got 8 books on OddsJam. We got 4 books on props.cash. BVP, we just look at the BVP for this team against Justin Steele. They hit him very well. Yeah. Earned runs, projected to give up 2+ earned runs. And he's also projected to give you about, let's say 18 outs plus 5 strikeouts. That's 33. Plus 3 earned runs, that's 24. He would still qualify for the quality start bonus because he went 6 and gave up 3 or less. So that's 27 fantasy points. So if you wanted to look at Justin Steele's strikeouts, they're a steal. 5.5, okay? His fantasy score is at 34.5. So explain to me how he's getting 35 fantasy points today. Because the way we break this down, based off the odds, okay, based off numbers, not what we think, but what is being given to us, he's projected to give up 2 or more earned runs. All right. So if he gives up 2 earned runs, he strikes out 5 batters. That's 15 minus 6. That's 9. He gives you 19 pitching outs. That's 27. He gets the quality start bonus. That's 31 fantasy points. That's way under 34. The only way he goes over this line is if he gets the win bonus, which would give him what? 37 fantasy points. And that would give him the over. Or he goes out and gets you 6, 7, 8 strikeouts. And if that happens, then there's nothing you can do about it because nobody is projecting that. So outside of some crazy shit happening, based off the math, you could pencil him in for 33 fantasy points tops, and then 27 in that range, 27 to 33. I think that's more reasonable than the 34.5 we're seeing on PrizePicks. So if you like the under on his strikeouts, then you could also look at the under on his fantasy because these two correlate. It's going to be really hard for him to get the over on this if he goes under on strikeouts, right? So this is all predicated on strikeouts. He can pitch a full game. That's 27 outs. I think you get a bonus. So maybe not the full game. Let's say he pitches 25 outs. Okay. and he gets you 4 strikeouts. That's 37 fantasy points. And he gives up 3 earned runs. All right. That's what, 28? He's at 32 fantasy points, something like that. But that's not reasonable. I think what's reasonable, I think what's likely to happen is 19 pitching outs, 5 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. He finishes with 29, 28 fantasy points. But these two correlate, strikeouts and fantasy score. I want to play Pavetta, but torn between his Ks and fantasy. All right, so we just built out a slip on PrizePicks. No underdog plays, no better plays. I'm just gonna run through a few different pick'em sites real quick to show value. So if you want to put those in a slip, I'll show you what that looks like. Over on his strikeouts against Colorado, and then over on fantasy score. Strikeouts are getting a strong projection of 6.7. He just needs 6. So even if he landed on 6, that gives you actually he needs 7 on PrizePicks. So yeah, he does need 7. Numbers against Colorado, he doesn't have any numbers this season to look at, so we won't bother. He's averaging 7. Colorado is striking out at a high rate, top 5 in the league, top 5. 4th worst. Top 5 worst team in the league. BVP, there is not a lot of pop in this lineup versus Pavetta. He's done a really good job of suppressing numbers. And we typically like to give the edge to a pitcher when he's facing a batter for the first time. And if this lineup includes most of these players, then you'll have 4. And we can even count Tovar and McMahon. You got 6 batters in there who have 1 or fewer plate appearances against Pavetta, which I think gives him the upper hand. Not giving up a homer to Diaz, not giving up a homer to Blackman. He should be in good shape. If you think he gets you 7, which is what he needs to go over strikeouts, he's going to go and pitch, 18 innings? Let's say he gets you 17 innings. He strikes out 7. That's 21 plus 18 is 39. He's projected to give up 3 earned runs. That's 30 fantasy points. He will get the quality start bonus if he goes 6 and keeps it under 3 or less. So that would be 34 fantasy points. His projection today, or his number today on PrizePicks, is 33.5. So 34 fantasy points if he gives up 3 earned runs, no more than 3. He goes 17 pitching outs, and then he strikes out 7. If he gives up 2 earned runs, then we add another 3 points. So that could be a 37 fantasy point game. So the fewer earned runs he allows, the more fantasy points he holds on to. So you're looking at a range of 34 to 40. As long as he doesn't give up 4 earned runs and he stays in longer than 6 innings, he'll get that quality start bonus. I think the fantasy score is in play. I know it's a much bigger number, but it has not been bumped. The matchup is there, and the lineup that they roll out today doesn't seem like a lineup that's going to touch them up too much. That's what I think. All right. Real quick before we get out of here, let's take a look at underdog. Let's take a look at Betr or sleeper. I'll just run through the pick'em sites, that way you can see the top fantasy plays on the board. A lot of esports plays. under on Tyler O'Neill. There's Uvalde under, Shohei under. Here's a new one. McCutchen over, hits, runs, and RBIs, 1.5. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines on this one. Six points that like the over. That's a strong play. Just looking at this, we're not even researching it. We're just looking at the data that's being given to us. Cal Quantrell under 6.5 total hits. I mean, he doesn't have to give up a ton of hits. He doesn't have to give up a ton of hits to give up a lot of runs, right? I mean, if he gave up 6 hits and 2 of them were home runs, you know, you're down 2 already. So, but the fact that this is in Coors Field and against the Red Sox, who are not a shabby team, especially in Coors Field, I think that automatically boosts your offense. I might just stay away from that one, but the Andrew McCutchen looks good on underdog 1.5. A lot of esports plays. Vladdy under his strikeouts. I cannot ever get this guy on the right day. Alec Boehm, 7.5 fantasy score under. There's another one. And then the last positive one is Bybee under 35.5. That's funny because we like the over on his fantasy score on PrizePicks. Underdog is giving it to you at a different line. Betr picks. Let's look at Betr real quick. Betr's a fun place to play. If you're not on Betr, use my QR code, scan that, or just click the link in the stream description. Your top 2 plays right now are going to be PGA plays. You got strokes over on both Tony Finau and McNeely. There's Aaron Nola again under his strikeouts. Remember, we were looking at the under on his strikeouts on PrizePicks, and then they bumped it down to 6. You can still find it at 6.5 on Betr. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points on this one. Michael Wacha under 2.5 runs. That one looks okay. Got a lot of data that supports the under here. There's Justin Steele under his strikeout. So we're seeing it on PrizePicks and we're seeing it on Betr. PrizePicks is giving you the better odds in terms of percentage to hit, but Betr is right behind them. Same line. The reason this is not grading out as well on Betr is because minus 121 odds compared to minus 119. If we move this to a 6-man insured, it's the same. When we look at all the options on Betr, the slips that are giving you the best chance to hit are going to be 5-man insured and 6-man insured. They're actually giving you the same exact odds. The Betr 8-man insured is obviously harder to hit, but minus 126, those aren't the worst odds we've seen. When you factor in the payout upside, you could look to something like an 8-man on Betr, but 5-man is where it's at. So Justin Steele standing out on both Betr and PrizePicks. Dalton Varsho over his hits, 3, 6, 7. There's Goldie under his total bases. See, you get a lot of value on Betr. You do have to dig and find the right plays with the proper information, but when you're struggling on PrizePicks or struggling on another site, having something like Betr that offers you different plays is helpful. So Betr's in play, a lot of data there, a lot of value there. And the last one we can look at is Sleeper. And then we're gonna jump off the stream here. Hour and a half already. Appreciate y'all being here. Those of y'all who have stayed on to this point, appreciate y'all being here. Sleeper's a little different in terms of their EV. So we look at data points here. Nola over his walks, Nelson over his walks. You have Quantrell over hits. So this is all based off payout. we had Quantrell under his hits on underdog, I think it was, and then you had you have it over on sleeper. So same line, different pick'em site, different, different format creates a different scenario. But there's Betr. You're really never going to see a lot of green plays on Betr because of the payout system they have. The best, or excuse me, sleeper, I should say. The best time to play on sleeper, obviously, is when they run promos, because then you don't have to find too many plays for value. That they're already giving you one. But those of you who play on sleeper, here are some plays that you can look at. All the way down. All right. I think that's going to do it. 5 of you who are left on the stream, appreciate y'all being here. We covered a lot of plays using the Odds Jam Fantasy Optimizer. We built up a slip on PrizePicks. I'm going to share that link in the chat. It's not going to be a link, though. It's going to be it's not going to be a hyperlink, I should say, because I don't think I could put hyperlinks in this chat. I also shared in my Discord. If you want to check out the Discord, all that information is in the stream description. But we built out a 6-pick on PrizePicks, and it only took us an hour to do it. We'll try to get it a lot sooner next stream, but we were also experiencing a lot of bumps with our line, so I think we fared fine. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. Consider subbing up to the channel. Hit the the notification icon so you don't miss out on future streams. Next stream will be tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We'll break it down similarly. We'll use the Odds Jam Optimizer. We'll try to build out a slip on another pick'em site, maybe Betr, maybe underdog. But we'll use the value that we find. We'll use your questions and player prop suggestions to build out a slip. I'll share this slip in the Discord, but I just put the link. You'll have to copy and paste that, but I put that in the chat. So appreciate y'all being here. Hit that like button on your way out, and I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with another player prop talk live stream. Until we meet again, Chavez is out.